Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to take a look at one of the brand new Beasts of the Mesozoic Ceratopsian Series figures. They are finally released. I've seen plenty of people get a hold of them, officially now showing up in the hands of the many people who purchased them, but you can see that as far as this figure goes, it looks really cool right there inside the packaging, but we can't really see too much of it due to the glare. You can see it pretty good actually right there, but it is a little distracting as far as that glare goes, but you can see a beautiful image right here of the Diabloceratops and some really nice artwork. Again, it has a beautiful gloss finish now on these boxes, unlike the Medusaceratops when I had reviewed that one. That one was kind of one of the test boxes that didn't have the gloss coat. So we now have the finished boxes here, of course, with the finished product, and you can see as well that there is an image here of the artwork yet again, and stating that there is a collectible card inside, and then kind of a checklist of some of the other figures here in Wave 1. So I am super excited to officially have now a second Ceratopsian figure from the Beasts of the Mesozoic. So let's go ahead and break this out of the packaging and take a look at it right now. Of course, included within is a beautiful card of the Diabloceratops. You can see also some instruction to get that tail on, but that card is fantastic. Really nice artwork, and then even more beautiful artwork here on the back with a little dinosaur toy photography and some information on the actual figure and species itself. And then here is our Diabloceratops, but I don't have his legs in a good position to show you this. So let me get him in a little bit of a better position here. And there we go. I think that's pretty good. But you can see, just like with the Medusaceratops, that this figure is gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful sculpt-wise and paint-wise as well. This is one of the figures I think I was looking forward to more so than a lot of others, just because I was a big fan of the paint job, or at least a lot of the others in the first wave. There are many of the first wave that I am really psyched about, but this one specifically I was a big fan of the actual paint scheme on it, and everything as far as this figure currently goes looks absolutely awesome. So let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So taking a look up here at the head sculpt of our Diabloceratops, you can see that as far as the actual skin detail, it is off the charts beautiful. Lots of really nice scale detail all over the head sculpt. You can also see the nostrils sculpted out right there. The beak is beautifully sculpted as well and really nicely painted. I like that they have a nice black coloration and then kind of a brown streak that runs through the beak right there. Of course, the jaw is articulated, but it is a little stiff. But once we get inside the mouth there, you can see some really nice detailing inside. If my camera would focus on it, you can see it a little bit there, really nicely painted in there as well with a nice purplish coloration. The teeth are present in there, as is the tongue. Everything looks fantastic in that aspect of the figure. And just like with the Medusaceratops, there's a lot of really nice paint variation up here on the face. You can see a nice yellow coloration that runs down the tip of the snout. You've got some beautiful reds, nice black that kind of stripes through the eye area, as well as a beautifully painted eye with a yellowish coloration. You also have some more yellow here, and then some black down here on the lower jaw. So lots and lots of paint variation. Once you move actually up to the frill of our Diabloceratops, you can also see some blue up there, as well as a little bit of a creamy kind of an off-white coloration. And again, a mixture of some reds showing up here and there. It looks really cool. If we look at it from this angle, you can get a good idea of what the design there is on the frill of our Diabloceratops. The horns are also painted really nicely with kind of an off-white, and then they darken as you get to the tips, and I think that as well looks really good. Beautiful, smooth transition as we get closer to the tips there as far as that black coloration goes. Really highlights the spikes there on the head, but again, the actual application of the paint is great. You can also see the kind of spikes that run along the head of the dinosaur along the frill are also painted with that same coloration that we see up there on the actual horns of our Diabloceratops, and they as well are painted really nicely, and everything kind of has like a really nice dry brushing that almost makes it look like it's kind of dirty, like very reminiscent of an actual living animal. Moving back here into the neck, you can continue to see the beautiful color variation as well as some really nice scale detail. The further into the body we go, again, lots and lots of color variation on this figure. There's just so much paintwork. Just here in the neck region, you can see like a little reddish coloration that transitions to a yellow and then kind of gets into like even a little bit of a brighter variation of yellow there. You also, of course, have some black. And then up here on the back of our Diabloceratops, you could see a little bit of an off-white coloration, some more black, and that black transitions to a larger area of black, and then the off-white kind of transitions to like a yellowish brown, and they've dry brushed those areas beautifully, again bringing that detail out really nicely. You could see some ridges that run along the spinal column of the Diabloceratops. Coming back down here into the side of the animal, again, really nicely done as far as that scale detail. You can see some beautiful blues added into the lower stomach area of our Diabloceratops, and again some more paint variation with like some reddish coloration and then black here. As we move down into that front leg, you can see very nicely displayed the musculature of the leg. Beautiful foot sculpt down here as well. Nicely painted nails with kind of an almost like a variation of yellow, but not quite. I mean, it's like a white closing in on a yellow, I would say. Coming back up here into the back, you can pick up on the hip bone a little bit right there. You can also see some osteoderms here and there showing up on the dinosaur. Very nice muscle tone in the thigh region. Again, that skin texture looks great the whole way down. Nicely elaborated calf muscle. Moving down into the foot here on the back also looks fantastic. Again, the nails are painted to perfection and they are glossed really nicely, very realistically. And you have some more of that bluish coloration here on the underside. And then we move out into the tail, and the tail also looks fantastic. Very nice curve to the tail and beautiful sculpt as far as the skin texture goes the whole way out. You can also see some more of those like ridges that run along the spinal column. Actually, the tail isn't exactly in the perfect position. Now it's better off because you can see that the kind of ridges on the spinal column match up a little better right there. But really beautifully done overall. And then if we look at the opposing side, again, you can see how unbelievably nice the figure looks from every angle. It is an absolutely beautiful Diabloceratops for sure. The head sculpt again looks fantastic on this side. The eye as well is glossed to perfection, just like the nails. It has that real living eye type of an appearance, and actually the inside of the mouth, if I did not mention it, also sports a really nice gloss coat. You can see it right there shining. It has a very realistic saliva-like look in there, so lots and lots of realism as far as both, of course, the sculpt, but the paint as well. And being that the figure is in a totally neutral position and it's really up to you to display it, you're not going to see much difference on this side as opposed to what we had seen on the previous side. But again, looking over the figure in general, you can see just how absolutely unbelievably nice looking the figure actually is. Sculpt-wise, it is about as highly detailed as it gets. Paint-wise, it is also about as beautiful as it gets, and I really do like the kind of paint schemes that they've gone with on a lot of these ceratopsians, because it's kind of like paint schemes that you kind of have to think outside the box to come up with. I know they did base a lot of them, if not all of them, on real animals, but the fact that they are so colorful but still manage to look really nice and realistic, I think, is kind of a testament to Creative Beast Studio and their decisions on each paint scheme to come up with. And this is definitely one of, again, I think my favorites as far as the paint scheme goes, but an absolutely gorgeous looking Diabloceratops from the Beast of the Mesozoic. And you can continue to see how nice that color variation is here on the underside. Again, we have to match that area up now as well, but you could see how gorgeous this is. Lots of really nice coloration on the underside. I love this blue coloration. It's just such a really beautiful color choice to have in the lower body. And you can also see some really nice kind of bigger scales here on the underside in comparison to what a lot of the scales look like on the upper side. But this figure, again, is absolutely awesome. And then, of course, one of the most exciting aspects of these figures would be the articulation, and there is just lots and lots of that. Of course, you do have the articulated jaw, which we had seen previously. You also have quite a bit of articulation in the neck, and I do apologize if the articulation is a little stiff, as I have not really moved the figure around yet, but you can see it has two different areas right here in the neck to articulate, and it does work really smoothly and moves really smoothly once you actually kind of wear it in, because again, it's not exactly something that's been moved around a lot. The articulation hasn't been used until right now, considering it's fresh out of the packaging, but once you move it around a little bit, you can now see how smooth that articulation is, and you can pretty much make your dinosaur, your ceratopsian, look in any position that you would like it to. And then, of course, you have articulation right here, and then articulation in the elbow as well, and then down here in the wrist area, you also have articulation in the midsection, the articulation in the hip, the knee, and the ankle as well. Actually, two different areas. You've got articulation right here, and then articulation here in the ankle, kind of like a swivel. So you've got quite a bit of articulation right there. And then you also have the articulated tail right there that can swivel and move up and move down, move left, right, everywhere, any which way you would like it to move, which again allows so much possibility as far as the way you can display your dinosaur and pose it however you would pretty much like. Now, as far as a size goes on our Diabloceratops, you're going to see for a length about the 10-inch range, roughly, somewhere around that area. And then for a height, you're looking at about 4.5 inches, somewhere in that vicinity. As far as a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon next to our Beasts of the Mesozoic Diabloceratops. And you can see next to these figures, again, roughly what the size range of the figure is. It definitely sports some pretty good size overall. Again, very impressive in the size department, especially when you're talking about a ceratopsian figure. It's a pretty darn nicely sized figure. And for another size comparison, there is the Diabloceratops next to the Medusaceratops, and you can definitely see that there is a pretty significant size difference between the two of these figures. However, again, even with there being such a significant size difference and the Medusaceratops being quite larger, the Diabloceratops in general is quite big as well, and hopefully these figures will help to give you a good idea of that. So this Beast of the Mesozoic Diabloceratops is an unbelievable figure. Again, the Beast of the Mesozoic and Creative Beast Studio, David Silva in general, has really outdone himself with this line. This is 2 Ceratopsians now that I've taken a look at from it, and I actually have each and every one of the other figures here from Wave 1 that we will be reviewing over the next probably 2 weeks or so, or maybe even a little longer, depending on how long it takes us to get through each and every one of them, but they are all fantastic. I haven't actually opened the other ones, but just looking at them through the packaging, I can tell you straight away they are unbelievably nice. And this Diabloceratops as well is absolutely gorgeous. A really beautiful sculpt. The sculpt, just like the Medusaceratops, which I have reviewed previously, is unbelievably nice. There is just so much incredible detail included in the figure, and overall is just a gorgeous representation of the species. The paint as well, again, being a bit more flashy than you would expect for most ceratopsians, somehow manages to look really nice and quite natural, I will say, on the figure, and potentially something I could, without question, see on the animal in real life. Again, David Silva continuously takes inspiration from real living animals and uses that inspiration on the paint schemes for his dinosaur figures, these Beast of the Mesozoic figures, so that is one reason why a lot of the time they always do look really nice and natural. But again, just because the coloration looks nice and natural on a certain living animal doesn't necessarily mean it's going to look nice and natural on a different animal that is extinct. And especially when it comes to ceratopsians, I feel like they can be kind of tricky when it comes to having a paint scheme that looks realistic. And in fact, myself, when I paint them, quite often I have some problems coming up with really nice realistic paint schemes. But with each and every one of the Beast of the Mesozoic figures that I've really seen, especially as far as the ceratopsians go, even though they are quite flashy, I feel like they all still really do look quite natural and overall look like they belong on the figures and on the animals. So again, kudos to David Silva and the Beast of the Mesozoic line for that aspect, but also just generally creating unbelievable figures. Again, with such a highly detailed figure and having a really nice paint application, a nice realistic looking paint application, and then just tons and tons of articulation, giving you endless possibilities pretty much as far as posability of your figures is just the coolest thing ever. And myself, I love articulated dinosaur figures, so I am absolutely head over heels in love with the Beasts of the Mesozoic line. So if you would like to pick this up, again, now that they are officially released, it'll probably ship right after purchasing, so I will include a link in the description to where you can do that on Creative Beast Studios' website. So make sure you head on over there, pick yourself up some of these beautiful Beast of the Mesozoic ceratopsians, and specifically this Diabloceratops, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.